I'm a bit confused about where to start from. Like, let's say for week one, I started off with the logic games, and then week
Hmm.
two, I backtracked and decided to start off with the logic reasoning. Um,
Okay.
but I'm still at right now. It's just that my issue is just trying to find um a better strategy of how to study for the LSAT.
Okay. What's your target test date?
January,
Okay.
January.
So you've got some time. You've got about 2.5 months, plenty of time to make a massive increase. Now, the study plan courses actually lay out for you a super detailed plan of attack regarding exactly what to do every single day over the course of your prep. So, did you have a look at maybe the 2 month plan or the 3 month plan?
I looked at the 2 month plan. I think we're just worth been following for a while now. I guess it's just more on my part. I'm trying to be a bit more disciplined and following it through instead of just starting with one and then moving to another one. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you said earlier that you started with logic games, then you switched to logical reasoning. What led you to make that switch?
I think what led me was I think it was mostly because I felt like I needed to master the logic reasoning more in the logic games. Because when I did the was it the first 14 lessons of the logic games, I felt like I understood what it meant, and I did work out a few of the examples for the relative logic games, which I did get well, at least 4 out of 5 of. So I know I'm okay on that part, but I think the logic reasoning was where I had much problems with, and I think that's why I probably switched to that side quite quickly because I felt like I needed to master that very well before I moved back to the logic games.
Right, right. Well, that is totally fine. The study plans are just my general recommendations for someone who has no prior exposure. And even if that's the case, I mean, if you're good on logic games, you don't need to do quite as many practice exercises there before switching gears and moving on to logical reasoning. So I think based on what you've shared, that's a totally fine approach. I would recommend that you just stick with logical reasoning until you feel similarly comfortable with your accuracy and your performance on that section.
Okay.
The thing you want to avoid is really just a situation where you are having trouble with something and then you
Mm-hmm.
switch away from it because it's discouraging. But from what you shared, that's not the case. So I don't really have any concerns about where you're at. I would say keep following the schedule, spend more time on your weak areas, less time on your strengths, and then soon enough you'll move into timed sections, and then finally the full length exams as you approach January.
Okay. Yeah, because sometimes I'm worried that I might be falling behind. That's the issue. And I think that's what kind of like pushes me to try and rush things quickly, which in a way, which I think is probably not a good idea as well. Because everybody's different. Just because someone might get it fast doesn't mean, that you're lacking or you don't have what it takes. It's just more or less like you have a different way of processing everything compared to somebody else. So I think I guess I just need to motivate myself more and encourage myself that I can that I can do this. Because it can be very overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot to get familiar with. What do you have a particular law school in mind that you're shooting for?
I had wanted to go to Fordham, um, and I know to get that I probably need to be in the range of 160s to a 170. So that's been my target goal now.
Okay, great. Well, that's your motivation right there. So visit their website, attend any webinars they might be having. Are you in New York?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay, so if you have the opportunity to visit, if it's possible, that would certainly be worth doing just to see what it's like, maybe take a tour. But even if you can't, I'm sure all the law schools these days have online webinars you can attend just to get more information. I'm pretty sure I've conducted some interviews with someone from their admissions team. If you search my YouTube channel, you might find something from them as well. But yeah, just the more you can learn about the school, the more motivated you will be to get the score that will get you into the school.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Of course, of course. What else?
I would say Like, when there were times where you felt like you couldn't do it, what was your way of trying to get back on track and tell yourself, okay, I just need to practice more, I'll get it. Or, especially for people who've been like straight A students the entire life, and then they just like take the LSAT just for one-time practice, and then they just bomb, and it's like it
That's
feels like you don't know anything.
That's
Anything
pretty
at
much
all.
that's pretty much my exact experience where I was a straight A student. I was someone who I thought was good at tests, but then my results on my first practice test for the LSAT were not in line with that. And so when you ask about how to stay motivated in the face of such a discouraging result, I think part of it is just refusing to change my self narrative about who I was. So if I am a straight A student and I am someone who can do well on exams and is well on academic pursuits, therefore, I am definitely the kind of person who can also do this. And so I'm not changing my self narrative. I'm aiming to change my performance. I'm changing the external world to fit my self narrative of the kind of person I am and the kind of person I want to remain. So just being really stubborn, I guess, is what it comes down to.
It seems like it, yeah. Okay, Steve, thank you so much. Yeah, that's really been helpful because I was down for a while because especially the logic reasoning, that's what it took me off guard. Um, so yeah, I'm just well, I was just okay with getting a 150, but even that with the practice test, I didn't get the 150. So it was very discouraging for a while. It took me quite some time to get like the motivation back to start studying for real and be like, okay, I just need to probably start away from the basics and get what it needs. But right now I'm just aiming for 160 to 170. Just to be on the safe side. Um, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Because I don't want to retake it again. So I'm just hoping in January it will go off me. Even if I don't get to full tab, and at least I'm able to get to a T50 score, I'm okay with it. So that's what I'm aiming for right now. Because my time is quite limited. Because I'm an international student, I have to at least get to school as soon as possible before April. So yeah, it's just been a bit of a hectic time for me trying to
Sure,
figure it
sure.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you take it, January or February, like you'll still be perfectly smack in the middle of the cycle. Actually, it's not too late to get your results back typically by April. Schools will vary in how long they take to get back to you, but if you apply to at least 8 to 10 schools or more, you'll hear back from a good number of them, I would expect, by April, which is within your time frame. And regarding the kind of score that you're aiming for, yes, you're right that for Fordham, 160s to 170s, the range that's within their medians typically. And so I think you'd be fine for that. But still, I would say certainly not satisfied with a 150 and push, and aim for a 180. That's what I always recommend. Don't leave any points on the table. And especially so for someone like yourself, where you have that internal mindset of I'm the straight A student, shoot for the stars, shoot for perfection. Whatever happens, then you'll still have a safe buffer. Even if you didn't quite exactly hit the 180, you'll still be in a safe range for the schools that you're aiming for.
Okay. 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 Thank you so much. That's really been
Of
helpful.
course.
Yeah.
Of
Because
course, my pleasure.
I was almost on I just started studying the contra positive stuff. Was it yesterday? Yeah. My only issue is when do you know when the contra positive is needed in the logical reasoning? Like when do you know you have to apply that or you don't have to?
Yeah, great
I guess
questions.
that's what my issue is.
Yeah, great question. So in the logical reasoning context, I would typically only take the contrapositive when you're dealing with a formal logic stimulus. And a formal logic stimulus is when you have lots of conditional statements and conditional indicators so that you're going to typically want to link things together in some way, linking together multiple conditionals. And so in that kind of situation, yeah, the contrapositive can be useful because it's possible that a conditional statement in its original form will not be linkable. So that's when you want to then translate it. But I would not diagram for most logical reasoning questions if they contain just one conditional.
Okay. That explains it. Thank you so much, Z. I think about questions for now. But yeah, that's really been helpful.
All right. Well, if anything else comes up between now and January, please feel free to reach out anytime. I'd be happy to help.
Okay. Will do. Thank you.
Of course. Have a good one.
It was nice meeting you. Thank you so much.
You too. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.